back. I'm sorry. Everybody, like, they haven't even started yet. So,
Protest with the Alachua County Labor Coalition today?
Sure, no problem. So I've been working with the Alachua Labor Coalition about 2-3 years now, and it all started back in when COVID was, when people were hurting even more. Not that they're not hurting now, but the initial stages. So I've been from the very almost beginning when all this had occurred, and we started seeing a lot of evictions happening throughout the county, and we were trying to understand what's going on. So then we started creating a plan. How do we go about evictions? What do we do? We started going and looking at the courthouse records. In the courthouse records, we saw the addresses. We were able to reach out to those individuals and provide them resources. And that's how we started. So we would reach out to 15 people a day. I would say on Mondays, once a week, we would go out and reach out to the community and provide them resources. That's legal resources, information on renters' rights, and other resources that they might possibly be able to apply for, so they could get some income, so that they were able to pay some of those rents.
Gotcha. And were the evictions due to them being having housing vouchers and
a lot of the evictions were due to housing vouchers, but a lot of them had lost their jobs due to COVID-19, and some of them had they were not able to pay for months. And even with the aid that the Alachua County was providing, it just wasn't enough. Some people owed almost for over a year at that point. And so it's been a difficult time for residents. And right now with Collier, they're building more properties, and they're not for, the prices are not for local residents. They're mainly for student body base. But if you're low income, good luck trying to find an apartment.
Okay, gotcha. And I wanted to know, what I'm trying to what I'm understanding is why discriminate against people with
housing vouchers.
Because I'm not understanding, if someone is without a housing voucher, you have no problem with letting them rent, but if someone does have a housing voucher, you have an issue with that. So, what's the distinction between the two as to why a landlord wouldn't want to allow them to live on their premises?
Well, I think that's a very important issue that you're bringing up, and I think if we look at the reason behind the vouchers, who are the people that are receiving those vouchers? So there's that type of discrimination where it comes to class. So that means income class levels, and I feel they're not allowing them to use, and that's not right, because they just want that money instead of going through, doing the paperwork, talking to the government or talking to the right people that are focusing on those specific vouchers. They'd rather just go and have somebody that's able to pay cash or pay on a timely manner rather than using those resources, which is still the same, but it's a different type of process.
And may I ask, how long have you been involved with the election?
2.5 years now. 2.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then why do you think that people should care about what's going on with the housing vouchers and the housing discrimination and the evictions that have been going on?
Well, there's a lot of things to point out. One of the things is, if we don't care about it, the community that we have around us is not going to be here anymore. That's one of the most important parts. A lot of these people, folks that we've gone and talked to, they've been living there for 20 years. It has become at that point their house. That's where they find stability. And for a corporation to just come in one day and say you have 30 days to get evicted, that's not right. There's a stage, there's a process to go through, and a lot of the people don't know that process, and that's why we need groups such as ACLC to go out there and tell the individuals, you have rights too, and you have to understand what are your rights so you don't get evicted. So there's a lot of importance, because if we don't have those people that made the community what it is and what Gainesville is, at one point they're the ones that were living here, they're the ones that created what Gainesville is now, and now because they're not able to afford, or because they raised the property taxes, now they're pushing them out to the side, to the periphery of Gainesville. That's not right.
Gotcha. May I ask, and so you mentioned the rights, so if you could just tell me what rights do they have when it comes, or is it just all kind of in this paper right here?
It's all in this paper, right. Yeah. So I think if we go, some of the rights that you could read is renter anti-discrimination protections. Right. So, and it goes back to if you have any disabilities, religion, based on religion, sex, color, race, you name it, gender identity, citizenship status, which is another one. A lot of undocumented individuals, they might not have papers, but they're renting, and then what happens afterwards? It's easier for them to get kicked out and have or face repercussions from the landlords, and those are things that we need to consider, the communities that are coming in.
Gotcha. And then I guess, how does this issue affect you personally?
Personally, well, my family at one point, they almost lost their property. And for me, this is more personal. This is why I do what I do too. At one point, they almost lost it, like I said. weren't able to, my dad had lost during the recession, 2008 recession, didn't have money to pay enough. So we were so close on losing our home, but luckily there were people out there that were looking out for us, providing us resources, getting the aid. And for me, it's like I'm doing the same, returning back the favor in that end. So I don't want nobody to go through what I've gone through or to go through similar experiences. And if they do, at least I want to be there to provide the resources needed. Okay, so today we're here protesting on Collier Company. Can you tell us a little bit more about the event, the protest, and what's happening?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, we've been here in the past. Collier has been discriminating against people's income, like the kind of income they want to use to rent one of their properties. They discriminate against people who use Section 8, which means that they're really discriminating against people who need housing the most. Collier's been known to buy up a lot of properties, buy up a lot of land, and develop specifically for students, which forces families to move across the city out of areas where they have easy access to resources like grocery stores and to areas that are closer or more of a food desert. There's a whole bunch of issues tied to this. The way Collier operates has been extremely parasitic to the community, and they've been incredibly houseless to our neighbors who live out here. Everything about Nathan Collier is just evil. There's no other, anything else really to say. A lot of the problems that Gainesville sees are because of companies like Collier and other developers that come out here and they really exploit the land to try to make profit out of it, creates more pollution, creates more gentrification, creates more interactions with the police. So basically everything Dream Defender stands against starts and is rooted with companies like Collier and Nathan Collier himself.
So is this affecting mainly the residents of Gainesville, or is this affecting the student body?
This affects mainly the residents, but it also affects the student body because oftentimes lower income students are forced to live further out in Collier properties that are worse kept. This is an issue that really affects everyone. Like I said before, companies like Collier come into this town, really exploit the land, and that affects both the students that are here in the short term and want to make use of contribute to this city, and also the long-term residents that are being forced out of their own communities.
Can you tell me your name real quick?
I'm Alfredo Morales. I'm with Dream Defenders and Free Grocery Store.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah.
I called Amber and she didn't answer. I'm ready for feedback. I'm sorry. Everybody, they were having a good start. So, Hi, I'm ready.
It's over the font, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I said.
I couldn't tell at first. I thought you were just I'll do 4 months next door. Good sign. I'm here.
Can y'all hear me? Yeah. Okay, it's really great that everybody came out. So we have a few people speaking today. Not as many as I hoped. Whoever's here, I'm going to take my mask off. Okay, wonderful. Emergency rental, assistance monies, or Myers just wants them to go because he really hates working class people. Just like in May when we protested Collier evicting 1 disabled and 7 veterans who had housing vouchers, now the company is saying they do accept housing vouchers, and you'll hear testimony from one renter who, after she moved from another state, after being told they would take her housing voucher, is now paying full rent because they said, oh, we take housing vouchers, but we won't sign HUD paperwork, which you have to do to accept the housing voucher. So she is now paid 3 months full rent and is working with one of the legal aid services to get out of her lease without paying a lot of money. What we're finding is that especially the big corporate landlords, they're not accepting the emergency rental assistance monies. They're not signing HUD paperwork. This is a direct violation of the anti-discrimination in housing ordinance that the Labor Coalition spent 3 years to get passed. Section 8 of the City of Gainesville Code of Ordinance prohibits, among other things, and we have sheets out here that shows all the classes, from discriminating against tenants based on source of income. We now have met with a Department of Justice lawyer. They sent me a ruling about it that says Alachua County is one of the only counties in the southeast that has source of income ordinance. We have to enforce it. They sent me a ruling saying they believe that also the ERAP money should fall under that. It is not the county is not enforcing it. They're working with the landlords. They're holding their hand, but a lot of people have not been able to, are being evicted to have ERAP money. After 24 meetings with many city and county staff and many legal aid services, we will continue to protest these abuses that cause so much stress and loss of housing. You can go to the ACLC website to see the whole ordinance language. This month, because of the housing ordinance, the city, after 3 years, is finally licensing landlords, inspecting rentals, and have instituted new weatherization codes. This was necessary because a lot of people are being evicted when they finally get tired of not having air conditioning after 3 years. They have mold in their house, they have health issues. When they call code enforcement, one man will say a little bit of his story. Finally called code after 3 years of asking for things to be fixed, a hole in the attic, which all the air was going into. The day code sent the landlord all their code violations, he was given a notice of eviction. He had lived there 3 years. There's not enough affordable housing in Alachua County. Come on.
All right.
Yeah. Rents are going up an average of 5 to 13%. Average rent is $1,378. 62% of a food worker, service worker in Gainesville's income will go for rent. What happened at Pine Ridge, where we were able to keep 80 families who were slated to be mass evicted this year. A lot of people here helped us with that.
All right, good work. Yay.
Yeah. By an out-of-state investor owner. So we went in there, we worked with, and now it's stabilized. No one has been evicted.
All right, yay.
The excuse, and I'm not going to go through all this, I'm going to have other people speak. If anybody wants to start doing street theater, let me know, because that's way funner. So, the excuse for evictions, and Collier uses it too, he used it at where the 8 people we kept them from being evicted, is that renovations. They're going to go in, lay new linoleum, raise the rent $200 a month, and they evict everybody that they don't want in there. What we are trying to find out, we're trying to get enough information that we can prove that Collier is getting rid of poor people, working class people, because he wants to make all his housing units student, where he can charge more, you know, take all their money, and they won't complain. We've been told by DOJ if we can prove that, they will file a lawsuit against him. So if you hear stories, send them to us. So now we're going to have other people.
All right. Yay.
So Carrie, sakes, where are ya? No, the other Carrie. Not Carrie. Carrie, are you here? Oh,
Carrie.
she's over there. Carrie, do you want to talk for a couple minutes?
Somebody want else?
So, Carrie is not from a Collier company, but she knows what it's like to try to use ERAP money and face eviction.
So Carrie, just press this button here.
I didn't wipe it, huh?
Oh, it's okay. Hi everybody, my name is Carrie Status, and I feel so welcomed here because, you know, again, I feel like the only person that's in this right now. With that being said, I'm from Hunters Run Apartments. They're a rural American management company, and I'm the second tenant that they approved for the ERAP. Well, no, they didn't approve, but they applied with me. And my federal funds, which include 4 months right now, July, August, September, October, are sitting there in one of their rental funds, and they're not being processed. I've been charged assessed $375 worth of late fees, and I'm under a 5-day eviction since August 10th. So I was an awarded ERAP person. My funds were going, and they were in distribution, and immediately I got a knock on my door, and the sheriff is serving me with a 5-day eviction. So I know we are all at a little different area of what is happening here, but when anybody is getting, whether it be full funds or partial funds, you know, please just work with the person as an individual. We're all individual cases. We are not just one. We are many, and we have many stories, and we have many situations, and this pandemic can't tear us apart anymore. So for that being said, you know, again, thank you for inviting me to be here. Again, I'm not with Collier, but at the same time, I'm dismayed. My particular Royal American happens to have 12 apartment complexes in Alachua County. 10 of them happen to be federally funded. So I was on, you know, and mine's not, but I would have been under the impression that they really knew how to process funds and do this correctly. So with that being said, I was tenant number 2, I got evicted, tenant number 1 didn't, so why did that happen? Was it discriminatory? What was it? I went from a paying customer with my own monies to, you know, within a month of re-signing my lease, my 5th year, by the way, I went to an eviction process and they hold my federal funds. So federal funds, please, federal people, come and help us out. So,
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. She's the chair of the Alachua County NAACP. She's been a tireless advocate for housing rights and social justice. So please give it up for Evelyn. Press that.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul and Sheila, for all the hard work that you do in our community. And thanks to all of you for coming to voice your opinion and show support to the renters' right. You know, we were here back in May, and we thought things had gotten a little better, but apparently it hasn't. Shame on Collier and all the other companies that comes into our community and want not to give everyday wage earners a place to live. This is a sad situation. We will not stop fighting them until justice is won for all the renters. Now, the cost is outrageous. Local people cannot even rent an apartment because they cannot afford $1,300 to $1,400.
Yes, right.
That is a shame. That is a shame. So we will keep on fighting, and let me commend Sheila for being vigilant and keeping us on top of everything where renters are concerned. But we want all the renters to know that we feel you, and we will continue to fight for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. All right.
We need more affordable housing. Come
Thank you,
on.
Evelyn. All right.
Terrible. Great to be here.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, this is the first Collier resident story. This is written in their hand, so I'm reading it as they wrote it. I was reaching out to inform ACLC that they are still being discriminative, that's Collier, against people who have Section 8/HUD vouchers. I know this because right now I'm in a legal battle against them for refusing to fill out my Section 8 paperwork to do verification for Section 8 by saying they don't sign third-party paperwork. I moved from another state, and when I called and asked them if they took Section 8, they said yes, they did, and I said great. My Section 8 wasn't transferred down to Gainesville till the second or third week of July. So I had asked if I paid first month's rent and a security deposit, could I still move in and then add my Section 8 voucher, and they said that was fine. I got down here, mind you, I already paid, so I didn't think I'd have any issues due to the fact that they said it would be no problem to take my Section 8. So I informed them that my Section 8 was in, but it wouldn't be done by August 1st because I wasn't able to meet with my Section 8 worker until August 5th. But once they filled out their part, they would have rent, and they said, no problem. Just for me to receive an eviction notice on August 4th for the whole amount of rent. So I had to borrow the money to pay the full amount so I wouldn't be evicted. I took the Section 8 paperwork over to the office. Also, this is when I paid for the rent to have them fill out information needed in order to pay them. That was when I was informed they didn't fill out third-party paperwork or third-party leases. My social worker had warned me they might do this and to contact a lawyer, which is what I did. So I paid and left. Then called the lawyer's office and spoke with Three Rivers Legal Service lawyer and have been fighting Collier since, mind you, still having to pay full rent of $1,159 for September because Collier's lawyer said it's not their problem, even though they just went through this with your protest. I don't know if you guys can help me in any way, but I thought I'd at least reach out to inform you that they haven't stopped being discriminative against people with vouchers. Thank you for taking the time to read this. I am working with Three Rivers Legal Services. The issue is I can't afford to stay here and pay rent for here when I have to go through legal proceedings to do a discrimination complaint. I'm just trying to get out of this lease with no penalties or ending up in debt because of this. Which Collier wants me out, but only if I sign a non-disclosure, which I'm not willing to do. So my lawyer is working on renegotiating with them by saying I won't file a discrimination complaint against them if I'm able to break my lease with no penalties and I'm able to get my security deposit back so I can move to housing that will allow my voucher. So there's a lot in there. You might have noticed all the machinations that Collier was going through to keep this person from being able to stay in their housing. So that's the end of the first one. I don't know if you want me to be reading this whole segment.
No, this is the person who has now paid 3 months rent. There's another page of the statement she sent. Her car's being repossessed now, and they won't let her out of the lease, though they won't accept the housing voucher. It's just very emotional. So, Bryn, do you want to talk about graduate student housing?
Yes, I do.
And the issue.
Press that button.
Okay. Cool. Hey guys. Is this working all right? I think so.
Yes.
All right. So, hi guys. My name's Bryn. I'm from GAU. That's Graduate Assistants United. We are the labor union for graduate assistants on campus at UF. Graduate assistants are both students, but they're also workers for the university. So as many of you know, UF is planning to demolish 2 graduate student housing communities, McGuire and UBS, very soon. They have stopped taking tenants for McGuire and UBS a long time ago, and basically they're just trying to phase out the current tenants. There's been evidence that they're even using those communities as COVID isolation units. So it just gets worse and worse. But Collier directly benefits from graduate student housing and affordable housing being demolished on campus.
Those units are some of the only affordable housing left in Gainesville for graduate students. Graduate students, the minimum stipend is $21,000 a year. Graduate assistants can't afford $1,300, anything really north of $1,000 for rent. And that is what's happening with the demolition of these affordable housing projects and the implementation of these huge luxury apartment complexes that we're seeing pop up all over Gainesville. UF, and it seems like the whole Gainesville community is just focused on students, on undergraduate students, and those that just are here for 4 years and then they leave. They're not concerned about the community. They're not concerned about the workers here. They just want to make as much money as they can by basically being leeches off of this community. So, screw Collier. They need to start accepting these vouchers. It's good money. They just don't want to go through the hassle of accepting them and processing the paperwork because they just don't care. They just want to worry about their bottom line. So thanks Paul and Sheila for hosting this today. Thanks to the ACLC for standing up against this discrimination against poor people and poor workers. Thanks so much.
Community, 50% of the tax roll is taken up by public entities. They take all the wealth out of this community, and now they're tearing down housing for graduate students. Where are they going to live? Are they going to build them more housing? Are they going to raise their stipends so they can afford it? What if you have kids that go to the daycare center on the UF campus and you used to walk them there? Do you now have to buy a car or get bus passes? Are they going to pay for that? It's outrageous. There's no indication. They're serious. We have so many statistics about the need for affordable housing in this community, and now UF, who doesn't care, is going to get rid of more affordable housing, and where are those families going to go?
All right.